using Git as your version control. Hey, I'm back with another video, and we'll be looking at Git and setting that up with a remote repository on GitHub. Git is a version control software. It allows us to track our project by creating a repository. We can create save points in a project by creating something called commits. This allows us to revert back a full project or just a singular file to an older version. There may be some confusion between Git and GitHub. Git is a version control software, and GitHub is a platform that uses the software. This allows us to host our repository on GitHub remotely, gives us the ability to share and collaborate with the team. Now let's take a look. I'm going to shrink this down, open up terminal. In a previous video, we installed Git already through Homebrew. We can check our version by Git version. And we have 2.29.2. We also added our name and our email to the Git config. Now let's go into that file, nano git config. And here we added our email address and our name. Now what I want to do here is I want to add a couple of other things here. I want to do GitHub, and here I'll add my, not GitGub, GitHub. Now here I'll add my user. And I'm pretty sure it's this, but check it out here. WebDev CWC. Let's grab that. And I want to add a couple of aliases. And these are just commands that will shorten up some of the stuff here. I can do A is equal to add, S is equal to status, R is equal to reset, CM is equal to commit -m. And I'll go through these after. CM equals commit -am. Cob is equal to checkout -branch. And CO is equal to just checkout. Okay, so I'm gonna save those. Yes, and hopefully there's no issues there. Now we can check our config by going git config -- global space -l. And C# doesn't like that, but just hit no. And this will give us our settings or our config. So we have our username here, our GitHub user, and our aliases. Okay, so let's hit Q to exit out of that. And I'm going to clear this. Okay, I'm going to exit out of here. Let's cd into our project folder. Cd project. And we'll make a project name called mkdir macdevgit. Okay, and cd into macdevgit. Now what I want to do here is open up VS Code, code . We'll open that up. Let's open up terminal here, and I'll do a little crash course on Git. Now to initialize Git, you do git init, and this will create a file in our project, a hidden file or hidden folder .git. So there's a .git somewhere in here. Now let's do a couple things. Let's make a touch readme, touch index.html, touch app.js. Okay, so I created 3 files here. and it let's also do touch dot git ignore. Okay. Now what we can do here is let's do git status just to see what's going on. I'll pull this up. Now we can see here that there is a file here, 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 here. So we got 5 files ready, and it shows us in this Git plugin that we have with our Oh My Zsh shell. Okay. Now I have this git ignore file here, and I don't want this .ds file or .ds store file. It's like a Mac file. I don't know exactly what they are. Now if I paste that in here, and I'll do that git status again, it should ignore it. Yeah, so now we only have 4 files. Okay, so clear that. So it won't track any of these kind of files here, which is a good thing, I guess. Now, if you want to ignore more files, you can ignore a bunch of different files or different folders if you don't need them in your project. Typically, if you were to use JSON node package like npm, you would have your node module and you wouldn't include that. You would put the node modules folder right in here and it would just ignore it completely. Okay, let's do this. Let's do git add, and we're going to do dot, and this is going to add all of our files to a stage level. And if we do, and you can see here it's changed from blue to yellow, so it's ready to add 4 new files. Git status, and we can also use our aliases that we set up at the beginning of the video. We can do dot git s for status. Okay, so it's different than it was before. Before we didn't stage it, they were red. So now these are all ready to go. Now what we can do here is we do git commit -m, and I can -m, and I can give it a message, initial commit, and this will make our first kind of save point and give it an initial message of this save point or this commit is called initial commit. And normally you'd put in I guess some message of what you did for your commit. Now since this is the first one, it's fine to just be initial commit, and I'm going to do that. And now these 4 files are set up. If I do another git status, it'll tell me that my master branch, nothing to commit, working tree is clean. So everything is good. No changes has been done, and we're at our most up-to-date version of our project. Let me exit out of that and bring that back down. All right, let's add some copy here. We can do doc emit, and we'll call this macdevget git project. Save that, and we'll do an h1 and a p tag. And I'll do lorem here. And let's do here as well. Let's add a, and I'll grab this lorem. Okay, so now we have 2 new files ready to commit again. We do git status. Oops. We have our index and our readme file. Now what I want to do here is I'll do git, and I'll do cam, and this is one of our aliases. So it's git commit, add all files, and a message. And it's this equivalent to am. And what I'll do here is added filler copy. Okay, so both of them are in, and if I do git status, everything's up to date. Okay, so we've done 2 commits so far. Now what I want to do is connect our local repository right now to our GitHub, and clear this, and I'll close these 2. And let's open up. Now I'm on my GitHub. Let's create a repository here. And what do we name it? Mac dev git. Let's do Mac dev git. And it's checking to see if this repository is set up. And I'm going to just do test repo. And make it private. I'm not going to add any of these. Okay, so create that. And in a previous video, we already set up our connection to our GitHub through SSH. Okay, so we have this. And this is kind of just some boilerplate on how to set it up. So we've already done the git init on our local. We created a README. We already created some commits. This is to rename your main, your master to main. And I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it as master. And this line right here is how do we add our connection between our local to our to this repo right here. So if we grab this, and our remote will be called origin. So that's where the reference will be. So if I go here, git remote add origin, and our name of our user and our, well, this is our project name, okay, or our project path. Hit that. And what we can do here is git remote or git push origin master, and this will push up our master branch or our master branch up to the server or GitHub. Do that. And it's going to ask me for a passphrase, and this will be like a first connection. So this is your SSH passphrase, not your password to GitHub. Okay, so that'll ask me once, and ongoing, it will just, I won't have to type it in anymore, hopefully. Okay, so if I did it again, it'll tell me. So now it's added the host to our SSH, and it's telling me everything is up to date. Okay, let's go over here and refresh this. And I have my gitignore, app.js, index, and readme, and my readme mac dev git project lorem ipsum. I can do that, clear. Here, let's close out of this. What I want to do now is I want to clone this project and delete this and clone the project. So I'm going to close this, and I'll leave that open. Now, I'm going to do rm-rf and macdev git. And this is going to delete the project for us. Okay. So if I do, so what we can do here is go to code, and just say you're on a different computer now, or you're providing it to a different developer. Or yeah, if you provided it to a different developer, you're on a different machine somewhere else, and you're not at work, you're at home, you want to work on this project, everything is up to date on the remote. You grab that, you can do git clone, and type that in. Okay, and it's cloned, cd into mac dev git. So it'll create a folder based off of what this is named. Since I wanted that name, I can do that, but you can also have done let me cdn. What you could have done was git clone and provided like a mac dev git v2, and that would have created it in that folder. Okay, so if I do ls, and let's do code dot, reopen up VS Code. And we're back. Okay, so that's essentially how you kind of set up Git, create some branch or create some commits, set up a GitHub repository, and you remote into, or you can create the connection to the remote. But you would need your SSH key set up to do that, to kind of be able to push it back and forth and pull it. And since this is a private, that allows us to be able to clone it. If it was public, I don't think you need your GitHub to clone it, or your SSH to clone it. But since it's private, it needs to authenticate before it'll allow you to download it. Okay, let's close all this up. Let's see how we can view our remote Git connection. We can do that by, if we do git branch all, and this will show us our master, which is our local, and these are our this is our remote branch here, and this is the remote connection. Okay, so that's how you can see them. If you need to remove it for some reason, you can do git remote rm and origin, and the name is you have to replace this with what you named your remote. So if you renamed it other than origin, you would have to put that in there. But I'm not going to do that. And again, you can view that by here, and it tells you the origin name. Q to exit out of that. Let's clear. Now I just want to recap what we did. We were able to set up Git with our git init, create a couple of commits with some of our files. We used a couple of the commands like git status, git add, git commit. We created a repository on GitHub. You don't need to use GitHub. You could use a different platform like Bitbucket if you wanted to. GitHub isn't the only one out there. It's just the most popular one. And we created the connection from here to our project here on our local repository. Now we're able to do that because we set up our SSH key in a previous video to our GitHub. So you'd have to do all the SSH connection before you can connect to your GitHub repository with your local. Well, that about covers what I wanted to do in this video. Hopefully you learned a bit about Git and you'll be creating version control on your next project. And I hope to talk to you guys in the next video. Hey, if you've gotten this far, thanks for the support. This will help the channel grow. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to click the thumbs up button and leave a comment down below. To stay updated with the latest content from the channel, you can subscribe by clicking right here in the middle.